All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Tuesday, March 21st, 2017. And the title of tonight's webinar is Using the New Wedge and PM Trader. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. We can do that, Lauren. You want to do that? We'll do just that, as a matter of fact. Lauren wants to see the time trader in action. Now, everybody should know that the time trader is actually just the region trader, but it simply draws the chart automatically if you leave it in the time trade mode on Object Trader. Okay, so I will show that. And you should be able to see, why you're not seeing my screen yet. Can you see it now? There it goes, okay. It's just slow. All right, so what we want to do first off is we want to diagnose our chart. Well, you know, we were going to do away with the time trader, Mindy, because a lot of people had said they really don't use it. But, you know, Greg was telling me today in the room that he really likes it and actually sets it up and gets 50% of his income coming from actually trading equities and oil at 7:59 my time, 8:59 his time. And he just simply just sets it up on the chart and lets it go whichever direction. You know, there's one thing about it, when oil does open, you know, the equities do move. I mean, you can see that. You know, a lot of times I'll show the trades that I'm in, you know, so it's not a bad idea to use it. Greg says his best trade if you set it for 8:59 Eastern time and my time's 7:59. So we are going to do that. So we'll do that on NQ. We'll just see. All right, but first off, I want to show you a little bit because we've been having some questions being asked about certain things. So let's go ahead and go to our strategy first off. And we'll put it on the chart. Okay, now, one thing that was being asked earlier today was even about having these target lines and entry lines and all that where you could control the width of it. We're going to do that for you. I've got to get with my programmer and have him do it. He's just got to add the line that does it. I'm sure it's real easy in the code, and it'll get it to where, you know, these target lines, entry lines, and stop lines will be able to let you control. You know, because sometimes they are a little thin, you know, and you might not be able to see them as easily. Okay, so that will be done. Now, one thing I wanted to mention to the crew real quick tonight, if you used a region trade in the past, you know that you have to hit insert to bring it up on the chart, and then you have to move it to wherever you want it, and then you hit enter to start it. Okay, well, that's going to quickly change, and it'll change on Time Trader too for you, Greg. You know, on people that'll want to use Time Trader. Because what we're going to do is we're going to actually make it to where you don't just have an active color. We're going to actually have Object Trader be active when it's just simply set on the region. We couldn't get it to go the route. There was some kind of problem with it. Whatever happened, I have no idea. The programmer knows. But anyway, if you box it in and you take a trade, to give an example, okay? So we're not going to do it that way like we had thought. So we're going to actually do it the way of putting Object Trader on. And if you happen to hit a region, like let's say, for instance, I want to do a region, then this would actually be active the moment I put it on the chart. Now, obviously, we're going to need to do something to where maybe it's like a larger region or something like that right off the bat so that we can then quickly move it to where we want it, something like that. Okay, because otherwise, if we just simply put it on the chart, if that was, for instance, short outside, well, if that was ticking that little area right there and that closed, that would fire a short. We might not want that quickly, okay? So that's something we'll have to work with the programmer on. But I do like the idea of not having to actually hit the enter button like that, okay? I think that will be good. Will the long and short be enabled as well, Kenneth? Well, we could actually, you realize you can turn that off, right? Let me show you how to do that. Because the very first object type that comes up is the region, because it's the very top one in here, okay? And the way it is set in the strategy is that it does have, bear with me a second, it does have it to where they're set to true on start, long enabled, short enabled, okay? Now on the bar close, the PM trade and those important trades that, you know, are like auto and things, we've got that where they're automatically disabled, okay? So it wouldn't start. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. See, if we set this for long enabled false and short enabled false, and then set that as our default, then when we put the object trader on a chart, see, region would be on the chart, but there would be nothing ready to fire the trade. Okay, so then you could put a region and you could decide which way you wanted to do. You know, for instance, if I saw something like this setting up, I probably wouldn't really want to even think about shorting this thing until it took out the low, and I probably would think about going long roughly above this little swing here, actually. See, like that? See that little swing where they're trying to check it? And obviously if they take it down, we might not want it, right? So yeah, we could actually do it where you could just simply leave the region off, and then you could simply turn it on like that, and then it would be active. And we'll get this to where this will be like an active color, of course. Okay, does everybody like that as the idea, or do you want to leave it the exact same way it is? Kind of got a good amount of people in here tonight. I'm sure y'all are the ones that are in here tonight that really use the object trader. You like the new idea better? See, I do too, personally, because, you know, for instance, if I have this entered like that and I want to move it, I can't, okay? But what if this all of a sudden just kind of bips up and I want to tighten it up or something like that? I have to turn it off, move it, and turn it back on, or whatever I do. Okay, so I think it would be a good idea to do it the way we're talking about. Now, keep in mind that, let me put it back on the normal way that it goes first, real quick. We'll go ahead and put this long enabled like that, because I do mine at the default like that. All right, but keep in mind, if you don't start with a region, let's say that you wanted to do a bar close. Now watch these colors right here. They will not stay on there when you go to bar close. See there? They go to disabled. Now when you go to bar close, you also can't fire a market order, okay? That's just part of the script right now. He's trying to work on that. The problem with the market order is that we have basically a lot of scale-in things added to this new object trader. So, you know, it's kind of important that those go off, but I still like my market orders, you know, doing what they do. But then this is actually kind of part of all of this too. You know, that's one of the problems. He is looking into it though. Now, personally, what do y'all think? You want to take that trade there at predictor? That's going to be an automatic trade before long. Now, will it work? We'll find out. Let's go ahead and do like 3, since it's, we'll do 4 since it's NQ. And we'll just turn on bar close, okay? Now, bar close, if I have bar close turned on, this doesn't even matter at all. Everybody knows that, right? Okay, because bar close can simply be long enabled or short enabled. And you can even reverse a bar close too, okay? You can do that if you want. All right, now let's go to one other one real quick. I'm not going to fire this trade just yet. I'm going to pause it just a minute so we can get the trade. But if, let's say that we had put object trader back on the chart again. Let's go back to where it's long enabled, short enabled. Well, you noticed that when I went to bar close, those went off, okay? If I go to PM trader, those go off, If I go to PM1 or 2, they'll go off, okay? If you go to Ray, they go off. Sniper really doesn't matter, okay? And then, of course, your wedge trade, you also want them off, right? Let me show you that that's the way it does. We'll just restart this. The best way to learn Object Trader, by the way, is just play with it, okay? Let's say if I go to a wedge to give an example. See how those go off? Well, the reason those go off is because if I was to start a wedge like this, and that happens to close above that, and those were on, or what if it closed below it? You see what I mean? You could actually get in the wrong side trade. So we have those purposely go off to protect us all. But it does hurt us when we go, oh, I see a trade, boom, boom. And then you look and go, oh my gosh, I don't have long enabled or short enabled. Okay, so like I said, we're going to work on that. Hopefully we can still make it a part of it. I had thought that he had fixed that on like a prior release, but I went through 3 months of stuff, and evidently I was wrong, because it was just in the last release before PM Trader, before Auto PM, before Required Trend, and before Auto LESC and all that came out, and the wedge. Okay, so the main thing is train your brain to obviously get ready to take the trade. And if you ever want to be in where you can keep buying market order and everything, okay, then just simply put it in region mode and turn them on, because I can buy all I want here. Watch. See, I can buy 1, I can buy 2, I can buy 3. It doesn't matter, because this doesn't shut off. Okay, but if I was to go to bar close or something, then I would have to turn them back on. Now, always remember too what particular object type you're in, because I'm going to kill this for a second. If you were in bar close, to give an example, and you said, you know what, I think I'm going to fire a market order, okay, and you did this, and you go, okay, I'm going to get a market order, buy 1, buy 2. Do you realize that now it's going to sell on a bar close down 1 contract, and it's going to buy on a 1 contract up? So see, you wouldn't want to do that, okay? So you've always got to be conscious of where your object type is, because anytime you're in buy market or sell market, these have to be lit for now anyway, okay? Like I said, we're going to try to fix it if it's a fixable thing. The thing is, it's mainly the fact that we've done this thing to where you can actually do auto trades, and it's going to get even more auto. For instance, this trade here would have fired on that bar, 10-tick trade. This trade would have probably fired right here, might have been 5 ticks. This trade, if it fires, you want to see if it'll fire? We'll just close it out. We'll turn it on PM. I said I was going to teach PM a little bit more today, so I'm going to take these off. Now, I'm fairly aggressive, so I'd probably be buying this right here. But I'm going to show you how to use PM Trader, and we'll see if we get a trade. All right, we'll turn on PM, and I'll just go ahead and turn on this replay. Let's see. We're right at a predictor, so even if it comes down lower, we may want to go ahead and get a long trade, because we could still get a phantom trade, right? So we'll see what we get. Let's see. It is a little bit of a hassle, David. That's absolutely true. And I'm pretty sure that that's something that he can go ahead and nail. But you got to keep in mind too that with an object type, I could fire 4 right now, for instance, and still get my PM trade. You see what I mean? So with market order with PM, I've got it on long enabled, so I could actually fire 2 contracts. See what I mean? And I can still get my PM trade, okay, if it happens to do what we want it to. I'm going to put my stop just under the predictor. I find that if you put your stop under these predictors, that works quite well, right off the bat anyway. Let's see, if I wanted to do a trade with 1 ray, whether looking for a long or short, do I use wedge or ray? Well, Mario, on your question, I would use the new wedge, because the ray trade, you have to insert and enter. And it's actually more like a channel ray. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. We'll do another trade if we can get it going, and we'll see. Now see, notice how PM has not triggered yet. That is a breakout trade. And what does it have to do to get that breakout trade? A bar up and a bar down. Well, so far you've had a bar up, bar up. You haven't had a bar down. So we don't have a PM trade set up yet. Let's see, Lee, Gary, I've noticed that without the auto PM bar close mode checked, we've seen the object trader add to trades. How would that do that, Lee? What was checked? Do you remember? Now, one thing I want to mention real quick too, because object trader is quite a little elaborate strategy, if it ever does not do what you want it to do, restart it, because it's, either by a glitch of some kind, due to NinjaTrader, or even, who knows, it could be an object trader. We haven't been able to find anything, and it sure doesn't show up in the code. The LE was off, and was there anything else turned on that you know of? Because I'd have to duplicate it to see it. Not that you recall. Let me know if you run into anything like that, and be sure and set your max contracts, for what you want it to be, especially live. And I've still recommended, while we're betaing this, trade live obviously if you want to, but kind of test it out. That's why we put it out as a beta right off, because everybody was kind of begging for it. But I'm still cautious on it myself, because the code was just literally written less than a month ago. That's not a lot of time to test. Although, believe me, I sit here at this computer and test and test and test like clockwork. By the way, if you were wanting to see, let's do the time trader just real quick for the fun of it. Let's go ahead and put time trader on here. Show you how that works. Okay, with time trader, what you're going to do is you're going to go up to like a zone like this right here. You have to put it on the date, which today was the 21st. You would put it on the time. I'm going to go ahead and do 7:59. That's the time Greg likes. And you've got a zone offset of 5. That's basically the offset on this. Now that actually should mean that that's a 10-tick box, okay, because it goes in the middle of the bar. Okay, so we're going to set that for 7:59. And you know that it's not set until you actually turn it on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it on here, and then you have to hit to time trade right here. Okay, now you'll notice that that box is set right now. Okay, you can then activate it, and of course you have to turn these on. Okay, and then this is actually ready to go. I'll go ahead and do it either direction. We'll go ahead and do, say, 3 or 4. It's fine with NQ. Okay, and that's what Greg likes to do right there. He actually just sets it for 7:59 and lets it go either direction. Greg, do you ever put it just under the swings too, though? Or do you just pretty much use the box itself? See if he's... let's see, this is since the max contract feature was that. Okay. All right, well, it looks like we're getting ready to get a trade. We're on long outside the box, close. So if that bar closes with this one being inside it, then that should close above the box and fire 4 contracts. I'm going to have to speed this up a little bit. I've got it going like 10 times, but that's too slow. We'll go about 15. Okay, there we go. We're in the trade, right? All right, so we're going to just get this 2 targets out of the way. We'll go for the top on 1, and we'll go ahead and take our 5 ticks on the first one. Let's see, if you've widened your stop to 17 now because of PM trades. No, not really, Brian. I actually, when I start out like with a 17, it just gives me time, because, for instance, if you do PM trades, like you said, they're actually little breakout trades. So by the time you get them, see where that fired that right there? if you put your stop just under here, that's 12 ticks. You see what I mean? And there's times where that 12 can just get hit in a heartbeat and still give you a great trade. So I have set mine to 17, but then I move it to the lightning swing. Okay, see how that time trade actually worked? It's really just setting a region up, but it's based on time. And Greg just likes to use the time. Now, could you have done the trade the exact same way we always do? Yes. You could just simply use the region and just put it up at, you know, the proper time. But Time Trader does put it up at the proper time. Let's see here if I'm missing any questions at all. Everybody getting a little bit more grasp of how this all works, because the object type, that's why it's called Object Trader. These are all object types, that the type of trades that it will take. And, you know, we've got region comes up the very first one, so it always defaults at long enabled, short enabled. That's why you can fire all the market orders you want when you first bring Object Trader up. But the moment you change to bar close PM, PM1, you know, PM1, PM2, you're going to be turning it off. And if you start with any one of them and they go off, you have to turn them back on to ever fire a market order. See, I cannot fire a market order now. Okay, if I wanted to add 2 contracts, I'd have to do this, just like that. Yeah, and Lee, on your question, one thing about that too is please everybody, you know, even when you're doing it in sim or replay or anything, contact us by email or anything if you run into anything, because that's what we want to know. You know, we want to make sure that this thing works the way it's designed to. Now, what if you weren't even in a trade right now? What if you weren't even in a trade? Okay, this is 8:30 in the morning. Did anybody remember this trade? Anybody at all? Well, watch what happens. Let's go ahead and get rid of our region. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a little PM trade. See the region coming down here? Now, what if we don't get a PM trade? Well, if we don't get a little pop up and pull back, we don't get PM trades. Everybody knows that, right? Now, that should do it. See how it came up? If it breaks that, should it add? Let's see if it does. PM1 long. Obviously, would put our stop heavier up now. Does anybody else run into any type of particular problem? Because, you know, the one thing about it, we can make sure that the programmer knows about it, and then we have to duplicate it, obviously. But duplicating is difficult when, you know, we run this in debug mode and there's literally no glitches show up on the program itself. We run what's called Microsoft Visual. You know, it basically checks. What you do is you actually put it in debug mode and you attach it to the process of NinjaTrader, and it'll actually look into the script as it's running in real time and look for any coding errors. And if something, you know, glitches, it'll usually show that. Kenneth, can you describe that one again to me? The ray, Mary, I think more on anything. Let me show you something on the ray. Let's we're in 4, but we're not going to add a PM. Let's do a ray instead. A wedge. Now, if I'm above that price like that, this should fire. If I was to put this on that bar like that, it probably won't fire. Okay, because the price is actually below the line, so that would be this, the B button instead. See, and it's short. So what I do is I have to make sure I'm below the price, and then if this closes above here, we don't know if it's going to, but if it does, it should add 2 contracts. Yeah, see, that is the problem on most people. I've talked to several people on this, and what I'd even recommend would be you know, if you want to really dial it down, you know, you can actually do something like, now let's see if that actually fires. If it doesn't, it's making a liar out of me. There, it fired. Okay, but see how the price was underneath it to begin with? Now, what if this ray situation was on the table right now? Let's say that I had this set right now. Well, this technically is not even a ray, is it? Because this is the ray that's below the prices. So there's not a ray above the prices. So this ray doesn't even count. Now, if it came down through it, this ray would then count. You see what I mean? You know, but to have it to where it really counts, like say for instance right here, I've got a ray here, I've got a ray here. My top ray is the one, okay, and that should actually more than likely fire two more. Now, not that we would do this, but let's just see. Did I get it where it was under it? I might have been on it. Nope, it got it. So we were under it. Okay? Everybody see that? How that works? It's just one of those things. You don't want to think too much when you're trading, but obviously there's a lot more to trading than meets the eye. You know, some people have every kind of, you know, stochastics and CCI and, you know, crossover this and that. So there is some thinking to trading. You know, we've all got to do it. Okay. Now, what I like to do sometimes, especially when they thrust like this, and you can do this with this particular feature on here, is take your trade off the table, like I say in the room a lot of times, if PM goes short. Now, this wouldn't reverse it. I've got 8 contracts on. Would that do it, though? No. Because, see, I've got 8 on right now, so I would have to change this to anything 8 or above. It doesn't matter if I had it on 20. It wouldn't matter. It will only cover the trade. Now, if I set reverse with that on, it would obviously go 15 contracts short. So what we're going to do is we're going to just get out of 8 if it goes PM, which would be under here, right? Otherwise, we'll let it ride. I'd probably get rid of some of them anyway. Well, let's just let it do it. It's not real. It's just replay right now. Okay. Be sure and ask questions because, you know, I get a lot of Skypes and everything, so I want everybody to understand how this should work. Always remember, prices below the ray, top button. Prices above the ray, bottom button. Okay? Turning out to be some pretty good trades, though, isn't it? Remember these trades? We took these this morning. We called them. Yeah, we called that trade. Let's see. Alex says, I was playing with Trendline Trader money shade and it works fine. Perhaps it can be modified to work like. Well, Alex, on your question, you still got the older version, then you haven't put the new one on? Because we actually took money shade out of this particular version because the programmer is basically saying that, you know, with it being built into Object Trader, that he's probably not going to do that one for us. Yeah, see, Lee, on the same thing on your sniper also. Let's stop this for just a minute and I'll show you some things about Object Trader because I know that it does get kind of confusing sometimes. I'm going to just kill this trade. Okay, but what I want to show you is even how sniper works, by the way, is the exact same thing. Okay, if I was to put sniper on the chart, remember sniper is just a horizontal line. Well, let's say that if it breaks here, I might even want to short it. If it breaks, since we're already broken up, we'll just put one for the fun of it. Let's just say if it breaks up here, we'll go long, but if it doesn't, we won't. Okay, now that's a breakout trade. I'm just trying to show you what sniper would do. Okay, so just like the ray, if the price is under sniper, it's the top button. If the price is above the line, it's the bottom button. What if I did this? Does this even count? And the answer is no. Because this line, now it could count later, you know, if they happen to break through and head down, you'll actually notice that what happens is that the line of resistance obviously can become support and vice versa. Okay, so right now though, the way I've got this set is this is simply only using the bottom button. So that button's not even counting right now. Everybody see that? Because there's no top one. Okay, but if I have it like this, and you'll notice by the colors of it, what's sniper? I'll just turn it on. Just hit enter. Notice that the top line went lime and the second line went magenta. Okay, so, but what if I move this line and then reset my sniper? See there? See what that just did? Now, this one doesn't change colors. I don't like that because this isn't even an active line. Do you see the little dot right here? See that little dot right there? That's the trade. If I move this line, notice that dot stays there, so you have to hit enter to bring the dot to it. Okay? If I quickly move it above, for instance, and hit enter, it's green again because it knows that the price is below the line. So we just have to think quickly if we move lines, which of these buttons is active. You see what I mean? And it's not that hard, but it also really enhances trading. Because to give an example, let's say that I drew a wedge line like underneath here. Okay? What if I just thought, you know, if this breaks this, maybe I want to go short. Let me get rid of this. Now I want to show you something else. See that dot right there? You got to still get rid of that dot. Okay? Or just take it out of sniper mode. See how the dot disappeared? You can get rid of the dot though by simply hitting delete. Okay, but let's do a trend line to give an example. Now just the way I'm setting this trend line right now, which button, if this was to go short, would I want to set? Everybody? No, actually in real time, Kenneth, the color doesn't change. You have to hit enter to change it. Okay, everybody's getting it right. So if I wanted to go short on this trade right now, what if I did this? Does that confuse anybody? Still the same, isn't it? Because the price is above the line. Now, if the price wasn't above the line, then obviously it would be the opposite. Notice that this is not even counting right now. But what if I took a short here if it broke? Not saying I would, but just bear with me a second. We're just talking about a trend line break, okay? But I could actually set this to take this trade right here, and the moment it's inside it, guess what? I would then be using this one instead. You want to see if it actually works? I'll show you. Let's see, short out. We'll try something here real quick. We'll go to wedge. We're not going to go deep on it. And we'll just see if we can get something here. And we got to turn on short. Okay, so short out means close below that line, we should fire 3 contracts. And we didn't. Okay, so what we did there. Now that must be because my line was so tight to prices and everything, the programmer said that it would take another bar. I don't like that. Okay, now if I want to fire it again, by the way, and you can't be, oh, I was touching the wicks. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's why that did not fire until it actually took it out with a closed actual bar. Okay, that makes sense. See, I've learned some things from my own stuff. That's why you've been using Touch Plus 2. The problem with Touch Plus 2, though, Lee, is that you're going to want to really use this close feature when we get this auto wedge working. Because the new auto wedge, when I get it working, it's going to draw these things automatically. Okay, and I'll show you how I would actually do an auto wedge. Let me just show you really quick. Yeah, this is going to be pretty cool, Eb, on this one. Let me just kill this trade because we're not caring about the P&L as much as teaching this product tonight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove my two lines. Okay, now let me go to I'm going to go to a larger chart. I'm going to show you something that happens all the time. NQ4A, here we go. Notice this right here. You know, for instance, if you actually drew this, look at this monster move up, and then would you have gotten, well, you probably wouldn't short it, but you could get out of the trade, couldn't you? See what I mean? Let's say that you had gotten up, or you were trading at 6 o'clock last night and you got that huge move. Well, what you'll be able to do is simply, you know, get out of the trade on the body of a candle like that one right there. And the way we're going to design this is it's going to draw automatically. Now, whether or not you reverse it at that point is up to you. I personally wouldn't reverse all the time against good trends. Let's see, on my beta version now, I do not, Lee. The programmer is kind of aware of what I want, but he hasn't done anything to it yet. Okay. What's great about this, though, let's just draw a ray here real quick. I got to put Object Trader on, obviously, first. Now, the way I want this ray to actually work is it's going to actually hug the bodies of the candles, and it won't even start drawing, obviously, until, you know, you get like at least, say, 2 or 3 candles, to give an example. This probably won't even qualify for it, but I'm going to show you how to draw a ray on here if you want. Always make sure your dots aren't way out of sight like that. See, like if I wanted to do this one to the short side, I would have to actually be above the line, right? And this big bar would have to close underneath that thing. Let's see if it fires. Let's see, will it be recommended to use the Renko bars for the new trend trader? I would say so, Lee, because you don't want to really get in on, I mean, you'll be able to do it the way you want, but what I'd recommend if you use smaller bars is more bar counts. You know, it's virtually the same thing. You just have to look at your charts and figure out where you want your bar counts. A big gap down bar is no good, Edward says. I'm not following you on that. For a fill, well, that's the one thing about it. You've got to kind of take everything in consideration. I would probably do larger than a 4, though. Yeah, see, what Ed's talking about right now is, see, when a Renko bar is actually heading up, this is basically about a 5-tick bar. Let me show you. Crosshair. You're at 3750 to 3875. How many ticks is that? 3875 to 3750, right? That's 5 ticks. Okay, but a reversal bar is twice that. Okay, watch and see. You'll actually see it's a pretty good sized bar. If it closes, we'll find out. But I can tell you one thing that I have found, Ed, on these type of trades that work, is if we could actually talk to the programmer, I'll show you what I would do with this particular trade. If it's going to do the lightning down, I'll show you what I would do with the stop. Now, if this doesn't fire, this is one of the things that we are looking at, but we'll see. I was above the line, so it should. Yeah, you can use the smaller Renkos too. Absolutely. You know, the one thing I've found about the larger ones is that you get some of these monster moves and you don't get faked in. Now, see, if I was to move that ray, I might not get filled because, see, it's on both sides of the line. So I need to leave it alone, don't I? Because it started out at the proper spot. You never get faked at all, Ed? Oh, come on. We all get faked. I got faked a couple of times today. It's no big deal. You just got to, get it the next time around. I got hit yesterday on my sons, but remember I got up 270. I got him a little over 5 today. Yeah, it's just nature of trading. And no matter how good we get at it, we're all prone to watch our psychological makeup and everything, because there's always that tendency to want to be in a trade. We've all got that disease. We're traders. Like when I watch a bar like this, I want to just go, oh, come on, I'm just going to hit market. And then if you hit market and forget that you got sell on, you'll have 8 contracts. So you got to be careful of that. Okay, now that did not fire. So is it going to fire on the next one? We'll find out. I don't like that if that's the case. I do not like that if that's the case. So we'll find out. Let's just let it play out and see. If it does it on the next bar, obviously we'd have to use smaller bars. If this doesn't fire at all, then we'll find out here in a second. Yeah, it didn't fire at all. So evidently, that particular wedge did not fire. Let me think. Was I on the wrong side at all? No, I was on the right side. So we'll definitely have to get that fixed. Let's try something else. Let's move the bar. And I'm going to see if even wicking that, if it'll fire that trade, just for the fun of it. Let's just check something out here. You were touching the first bar's wick, but we weren't at first, were we? Oh, were we? We were touching the first bar's wick? Well, let's see. We may all be figuring something out about this. Let's see if it fires. That's touching a wick though, right there. So let's see if it fires. We'll put another one just up above this just in case. And we'll go with a long if it happens to take it out to the upside. Let's see what it does. The one thing I have noticed though, and I've got to talk to him about, is that if it doesn't do, it's usually the first bar on the chart. I'm not sure if I want that trade if it breaks. I'd really rather have it right across this area right there if it actually breaks up. That's kind of boxing it in. Let's see what we get. Okay, there it did fire. All right, so what do we do different? Let's see, I've been finding out that I've been fighting those trades manually while I think about them in terms of the Ray method. You can do that too. It kind of does away with the auto part of the tool, but you can do that obviously. Okay, let's get back to our 4 range because we could get another good trade on a retrace. Let's do that. Let's see if we can get a retrace trade. Where do you think the retrace would be on this particular trade? Anybody? You ought to be paying attention. Stealth? Mid-band? Yeah. Okay, so what you could do in a case like that, let's see if it'll retrace first. We may just drop like a stone and we just missed it, but that's okay. We got to wait for some kind of retrace, don't we? I like to draw lines on my chart, so you can draw them with a ray instead if you want. Let's say if this came back to right across here even, that's pretty much resistance right there, isn't it? And that's below, so we need to set that one on. And we'll do a touch on that one. Touch +2. Let's see if we can get anything at all. There's also our little, now our stealth's down here, see it? I'm going to see if I can just get a stealth trade. Okay, notice that it got within 2 ticks of it and it fired it. That was also resistance right over here too, is why we took that too. By the way, if you turn that back on and you want more, you just simply, obviously if it comes within 2 ticks, if it doesn't, then you won't get any more. And it didn't. It missed it. Okay. Today was a kind of auto bar close kind of day. Well, I'll tell you what, you can flat do, I want to show you something else on this. If you want to trade something like larger bars, to give an example, let me show you something. I'm going to go to, bear with me a second, we'll go to the 4/8 object like this right here. You can actually turn bar close on, go into auto mode, short, and let's just fire 2, and we'll go for like 30 ticks even, but we're going to fire every bar close 2 contracts. How many will it go to, everyone? It goes to your max number. Our max number is set at 15. You probably don't want yours that high, but you can. I mean, there's some of our people that trade a lot more than 15. But let's just see if we can get a bar close. Now, by the way, if a bar pops up real quick, this will usually go off. And if it doesn't, then you just leave it and let it do its thing. That looks like another area of resistance right across there to me. I'll show you how to use the bar close. I know some of you like that feature really well. See there? Look at that. See how that actually just did auto trades? Now we're in a total of 8 right now, but notice that my targets are fairly close. So what this is doing is adding a contract every single bar close on those longer term bars. 2 contracts. See there? Pretty phenomenal, huh? And you could turn on long bar close if it happens to close up, long bar close if it happens to turn up, and get rid of the others if it does. Anytime they take those bars down like that, you got to be ready for it to retrace. Still heading down so far though. There you go. If we get a bar up, we'll be out. Not yet. Let's turn it off then. Now I'd probably turn it back on with larger bar like that. There you go, you're flat. Okay? See how quickly you can actually get that account up by doing something like that? But be very careful with it, because in a heartbeat, you could be up to, say 8 or 10 contracts, especially if you had these targets set way apart. It's sometimes best just to let it take profit all the way down. And that just costs you a fee with their broker. It's fantastic, but scary. I turned that on one day, basically, just seeing, because when you want to do it is when it's stair step. Oh, I didn't want a long trade, duh. Well, let's leave it, but let's reverse it if it bar closes to the downside. Because this is a short background, I'm not wanting to go long. Maybe we'll get a scalp, who knows. Now see, if I turn on bar close to the downside, then with this larger bar, it's kind of like drawing a trend line underneath it, isn't it? Because a bar close down will pretty much get me the other side of the trade. We're in long 4, so we would need to reverse 4. I'll speed it up a little bit. Everybody seeing some of the magnificence of using tools like this? They work. They work quite well. Oh, I didn't want to leave that on. Now see, this is something you don't want to do. and I just did a cardinal mistake. If you get short, then obviously what you want to do is you want to stay short. Don't let it keep flipping. See there? See there? Now that's adding. Notice that we're in 8 contracts. So, the main thing to do is if you do get out of a trade, do it like this instead. Let me show you another way. I'm going to get these targets out of the way and just show you something. Not that we would get out, but I'm going to just show you how you can use larger bars if you want to like that. And we're not going to add any more. We'll just quit adding. Okay, we're in 14. All right, that's a lot of contracts, right? But what if I just wanted to get out of all 14 on a bar close to the upside? That's all I got to do. And don't turn it on auto. And it looks like it went up already. So see how that works? Remember though, don't turn that on auto at all. Okay, because in auto mode, it would just start going long on me. Okay. Now, where would we be looking at a trade on this chart again, everyone? You tell me which tool that you want to use. We're going to go to a smaller chart, and we're going to see if everybody can nail a trade. Because one is setting up, isn't it? Mid-band red line, use a box. You could definitely do that. All right, so let's box it in. Can't box it in, can we? Because we got to change this to region. Okay, so then we'll go like this. I would probably go something like this, and I'd go something like, there's support right there. So if we come up this high, what we want to do? We want to turn on short inside, and we want to turn on short outside, and you could go touch, or I'll just go close. All right, and then we'll just turn it on. See what we can get. Now see, the reason I don't like this box as well, see what I'm getting at? There's your box now. Everybody see it? So you have to hit enter. You have to go like this and hit enter again. See where the box is, everyone? You could go short inside absolutely too if you wanted to. Keep in mind on a short inside, you're going to want to probably go up near some resistance area. Okay? Or look at your fib numbers and things like that. Let's see if we can get a trade though. With the new tool, stay lit up green when it's active like this? Yes. Yes, Lee, as a matter of fact, it will. Now, one thing about the tool, actually, keep in mind, okay, see, now that's short right now. Okay, so what I normally do is I get the first one out of the way a little bit, get one for a runner, get one at support, somewhere around in there, faded a little bit, see, like that. And then probably one right there, more than likely, because that looks to me like it would go there. Yeah, that's good enough right there. Okay, so we're set on a trade, right? It's a really, really good way to trade. The whole idea of why we designed Object Trader was simply so we would all have the tools. And the main thing is you got to kind of think on your feet a little bit. Let's say if I wanted to actually go the bottom of that box, what if I wanted to add some contracts on like a touch plus 3 if it comes even close to my entry? See, because it thrusts down, where's it trying to retrace to? Right where it broke down. See, and I just got 6, it looks like. Now, if I didn't want 6, I better get rid of them, right? Shouldn't the SC be turned off now? Well, it turns itself off. It's supposed to. Well, I was going to fire another one just to show you, but it's already under it. Let's go ahead and fire one more. I'll show you. Let's just do it right there. Short touch outside plus 3, it should go to 9. See there? Just went to 9. And I would probably You could actually set this, if this somehow just decided to burst up really quick, you could always set it to where if it takes out mid-band, to give an example, like right there, you could even turn that on and then turn it on like that and turn that on. And then see, you've got a good trade on, but if it did happen to pop up and do, you know, kind of like that little PM trade, you could actually go ahead and go long above mid-band. You know, now, did it do it? I don't think it did, because we pretty much stayed short in the room. Okay, there's a target. We'll get a couple out of the way. Now, one thing, if you get more than a few contracts, you can always get rid of the one that has the most on it. See, that has 3, that has 1, that has 3. So obviously 3 is good. If it didn't, Chris, it sure needed to. Did it for sure not? If it didn't, I need to have him address that. Let's try it again. Let's just kill this trade just for the fun of it. I'm going to try it again. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do like this little trade here where it breaks out or goes here for a little touch. And we'll go like that. We'll go ahead and do that. That's fine. Let's see if that goes off, because that's supposed to go off if it gets into a trade. Okay, that's in a trade and it went off. And by the way, if you wanted more than this, you know, let's say if I put my stop above here anyway, what if I wanted more, you know, than that? Well, inside would be the top button, so I could turn that back on, and I think I just missed it. We'll find out. Nope, we didn't miss it. We'll get it if it comes back in, that is. See if we can get 3 more. There's a box with an X just to the left of your green target line. Just clicking that, close that trade. Let's see. There's a box with an X just to the left of your green target line. No, if you click the X on here, that all that does is gets rid of the target. You know, for instance, I've got these targets, and you'll see where they're moving to. See how they're changing those numbers right there? See there? But if I don't want these targets at all, you know how Charles says, move your targets out of the way? Well, you can do that by simply going, turn them off. It's still got 6 contracts, but there's no targets. Okay? So by doing that, of course, obviously you would want to put your stop more than likely in the middle of that. Just in case there's a swing right there, you should get a lower high. I would expect it to hold right there with exit on close. Okay, so if you don't want those targets, you can definitely get rid of them like that. Now keep in mind, if you get rid of them, you still got to watch this, because you're still in 6 contracts. And if you look at your positions over here, you're actually in 6 with your broker. We're in market replay, so it's not with our broker, but see, you're in 6 still, even though those targets are gone because I took the targets off. Now, if I added, this gets a little more confusing, because if this breaks here, I'll have 9, but I'll only have 3 targets. Everybody knows why, right? Let me see if it'll do it. That's where you want to be careful taking your targets off. See there? I just set it for short inside. Notice you have 3 targets, but you got 9 contracts. Okay? So now if it takes this one out, I've still got 6. Okay? And if I want to do it again, I can do it just like that. So I just got a total of 10 because I've actually bounced back and forth in this thing. Okay? I can take as many off as I want with the market order, right? How do I do it, everyone? You have to turn this on. If I wanted to take, say, 3 off and 3 off, I just simply hit buy, buy, like that. And I'd probably put that right there. How about a trend line? Y'all want to do a trend line? Too late on that one. Well, I actually got it, clicked it in time while the bar was still under it. Let's try it again. See, we're in 6 total. There's 9. But that's how you use the tools, everyone. Everybody get something out of this tonight? I hope you did. By the way, NQ just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. It was unreal. What's actually causing a lot of this, everybody saw it probably on the news, is the American Health Care Act may not get through this time around. And of course, they're looking at the taxes that they're trying to change for the year. So it's going to affect the market. We'll probably get some more downtrend tomorrow. Maybe some good retracement first though, right? And that's good with us too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. I hope everybody enjoyed this. Be sure and play with Object Trader until you know it like the back of your hand. Okay, throw some market replay on and just absolutely play around with it. And don't be afraid of it. But if you ever run into anything that is out of ordinary, strategies in NinjaTrader are a little bit on the cantankerous side, because there's so many things that have to do this and that, you know, looping this, looping that. And if it ever gets out of loop, you know, you'll notice that, for instance, a button might not turn off. Well, if it doesn't, and let's say, for instance, well, you just want to kill the trade. If close didn't work, okay, then you want to simply go over to your positions. Well, we just killed it. Let's just pretend we'll just go in again. Let me just go in again so I'll show you. If something ever doesn't work on here, just simply go to your control panel and say, you know what, flatten everything. Then check your account, check your orders, active orders, right? Check your account, make sure you're where you want to be, okay? And then if something like that happens, just simply restart Object Trader. Okay, I usually remove it like that, even when I'm testing for the programmer. Okay, the exit on close feature, Lee, I'm not following you on that. The exit on close, what it actually means, let me show you real quick before we wrap. I'll go ahead and fire a little trade here just for the fun of it. Looks to me like it's gonna hit it predictor anyway. Okay, so if I put this on exit on close, okay, now the broker right at this moment knows my stop's at 54.10. Okay, so if you go to your control center, you'll notice that your stop is at 54.10, right? Okay, but if I do exit on close, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then all of a sudden my stop's no longer 54.10 with the broker, it's 54.13. Okay, and you can see that on the control panel. See, it's at 54.13. Now what that means is that if this actually crosses this line to the upside with a closed bar, it will fire and get me out of the trade. Let me see if I can simulate that. This should, if it closes above this, should go ahead and close out the trade. But it has to actually not just wick it. See, it's touching it right now. Okay, there it closed it. See that? But it has to actually close above it, and your stop was way up here. But wouldn't it do that anyway? Well, no, see, the thing is, Lee, the beauty of this thing is if you use, you know, let's say, for instance, that you know right where a stop should be. Well, guess who else knows that? Goldman Sachs and all the rest of them. So we found that when you put like an exit on close, to give an example, they'll a lot of times just wick it and then roll right over. Okay, so exit on close will do that for you. Now another way on it is, let's say for instance I sell 3 and I'm not on exit on close. Okay, I can just simply say, you know what, that's at 54.06, let's say it's 54.07, so I'd probably put my stop at 54.08 to be a full close bar. That's the same thing on a 4-range bar, but it just has to touch it. The beauty of exit on close is, especially if you use a little bit larger bars, they'll wick that stop and then they'll still keep it in. Yeah, the exit on close, what it simply does, this is the stop at your broker right now. If you turn exit on close on, it puts a stop at your broker here instead, but this is simply a line on your chart that if breached with a close of a bar, will close the trade out. But if you lost internet and this thing was to shoot up, this wouldn't even be in play because your stop is actually right here with the broker. Okay, but that stop actually works quite nicely, because there's times where we'll say put a stop there with close of the bar, and you'll notice it just wicks it and rolls right over. Yeah, you could do a reverse on it too if you wanted to. We haven't talked about a lot of that, but we'll go over that maybe in next webinar. And everyone, keep in mind, we're going to be doing some extra things to Object Trader. So there'll be another beta coming out with a region that won't have to be activated. There's going to be a predictor PM trade like that. There's going to be a predictor trade that will actually fire if it touches within X ticks and closes a bar. You'll notice that that works quite well. And there's going to be the auto trend line. Now the auto trend line is the one I'm looking forward to, because I've found that if you get some of these good moves that retrace quite nicely and you get enough bars, that you can draw trend lines nice. Okay, everyone. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll even have the auto trend line, by the way, where it'll even do, like I showed last week. Remember, if you use the require trend, it won't even fire a long trade. It won't even look for them. Okay, but that could keep you out of some decent trades too when they bottom out. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you in the morning. Good night.